Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCast for your Thursday night, wherever you are around this beautiful country in Australia. Not enjoying it because you're probably in lockdown like we are now in Victoria. It's officially after 8 p.m. But I am joined tonight by Carl Withy to lift my spirits. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Stuart. Good evening, everybody. It's good to be back. Recovering slowly but surely. A mouthful of stitches at the moment, so I apologise if I muffle a few words tonight.
It might even be that you sound better, Carl. We'll decide that as we get through the broadcast, but it is good to have you back and good to hear that you are on the mend after getting your wisdom teeth out. So always a nasty affair for anyone involved in that type of activity, but we've got about 2 minutes to go here before we get into the round at Indy, and I don't want to push too hard too early, Carl, but what are we looking for tonight?
Well, Indianapolis is one of those tracks that is very, very tricky, of course. Running a little bit different to the actual speedway, of course, because you're running the opposite direction, so it does throw things out a little bit. It makes it feel a little bit strange as you're going across those famous yard of bricks. But this track is a really challenging one. Some really tight, twisty corners. Puts a lot of pressure on the tyres. You can get a bit of tyre overheating here, so you have to be careful, especially as you're coming up towards the sort of the twisty sections towards the speedway section 8, 9, 10 and 11. That's generally when the tyres are starting to scream for tyre temperature, and then you can just cool them off going through the actual oval section of the track. But it is a really tricky track to master. It's one of those tracks that is incredibly fun to drive, and it's a big improvement over the old days when Formula One used to run here. These cars are a very different beast, and expect to see some really, really close driving and some tricky overtaking. Late braking is going to be the key for that.
Yeah, well, obviously, being a road course, we're looking at the road course specialists, and the qualifying. You let me in on the secret. Doesn't look any different to how it normally would with the road course stuff going on here. So we'll cover the grid in a few moments. We've just got about 2 minutes to go. Well, fuck, not even 2 minutes to go. We've only got around 30 seconds to go in the warm up here. So we'll bring the grid up on the screen in a few moments. But we're in for another road course potential DPR domination here tonight, Carl.
We are indeed, and they're looking to secure their places in the chase, of course. At the moment, Josh Mickelmore is leading the chase, 40 points ahead of Hamish Gallagher. Neil Pearson is sitting in third, currently jumping up 2 positions from last time out. You imagine he's going to be looking to get a few more spots in this road course section. Michael Skurlock in 4th, 5th is Jason Martin. Andrew Dyson working his way nicely up into 6th now. Danny G in 7th. Edward Foster getting into the danger area of 8th with Maddie Raymond 9th, and Luke Traher in 10th at the moment. Of course, there are drop rounds to come into play with that, but Foster's going to want a good, strong performance tonight, and he's had a decent season on the road courses, some strong top 5 finishes, so he's going to be hoping for another one of those tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Not sure what's going on here. We've just lost the picture from iRacing, so we're still logged in and all that. Just not entirely sure why it has done that, so just bear with us a moment. Hopefully it will come back up.
Interesting little technical details there, just to make the race more exciting.
Absolutely, it's not one that we've had before. We're still logged into the session, so
not sure if changing car may tweak it up or anything, but anyway, let's
there we go.
see if we can run through the grid quickly.
It's just suddenly come up, so I'll bring that up on screen.
So up on the front row is Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson. Second row we have Wally Gallagher. Third row is Hedesheed and Foster. Fourth row is Martin Mickelmore. 5th is Skurlock and Curtis. 6th is JCW and Danny G. 7th we have Traher and Raymond. 9th is Urquhart O'Neill. 10th we have Griffiths and Schultz. 11th is Phelps and Clark. 12th we have Williams and Dortnack. 13th is Koch and Hunter. 14th we have Spencer and Witcher. Jaeger, Otto and Douglas Patton towards the back of the grid, just rounding us out. So yeah, look at DPR, they are well up there. They're going to be fighting for those positions, and Andrew Dyson is going to be fighting to take out another road course victory here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, he is indeed. So It's going to be an interesting 50-lap race here, around about an hour 20 race time. We'll just have a quick look while they're doing the warm-up lap there at the weather here tonight. So 42 degrees. It's a belter. So as usual, time management going to be very, very key here for them. Overcast conditions as well. So not expecting too much of a change in terms of that temperature drop either. So it's going to be a challenging one here to make sure that the guys get around, manage the tyres as well as they can, and obviously take the opportunities as they present themselves. As usual, it's a DPR battle with the Mitch Motorsport team up the front, but also the Natari Autosport was making a return to the front of the grid of late. So with Edward Foster and Daniel Hederschied up there at the front as well. So this battle just starting to thicken a little bit as we get towards the chase.
Yeah, that's it. Hamish Gallagher doing a good job as well, getting himself up into fourth at the moment. So he's going to want a good start there too. And he's been having a really good run on the road courses lately. We've seen some good battles with himself and Foster and Fryer. But can DPR lock out the season, the regular season, with road course victories? Of course, Neil Pearson taking out the win at Daytona, Andrew Dyson taking out every other road course win this season in the Cup. They are on a big roll at the moment, but these things can come to an end, so they've got to be careful. It's very easy to make a mistake here. They're going to come around onto the oval section now, and they'll be coming up to the famous yard of bricks, and we'll be going live for round 24 of the ANZCAR Cup here on FGM eCast.
I've lost count, so we've just decided that it's 3 to the chase is the call for the round. So 3 rounds to go until the chase. That includes this one. And we are at the INDYCAR Road Circuit on FGM eCast for this one on behalf of the ANZCAR Cup Series. And we are green flag racing here. What a fantastic shot brought to us. As you can see, the field of 30 get underway as they get across that very, very famous Brickyard line. And it is Andrew Dyson and Neil Pearson leading us away. DPR getting up into the front there. A little bit of a swamp going on Hamish Gallagher, Edward Foster and Daniel Hederschied making moves past him to move up into 5th and 6th respectively. There's been a little bit of a movement in the background. Looks like Pearson's just dropped off track there as well.
Hamish Gallagher's locked up and Foster's gone into him. That's knocked him off the track as well as Pearson. Both of those going wide. Pearson himself just running wide in that corner. Foster just got passed by Gallagher. Gallagher just going down the inside into turn number 4 and just locking up the brakes going into the side of Foster there. So just moving it a little bit too late there on those cold tyres. Gallagher making a bit of a mistake.
So that's opened up the lead for Dyson a little bit here. He's got 2 seconds over the top of Philip Worley, Daniel Hederschied behind him. So he's had a good start in the 035 Natari Autosport entry, moving up into 3rd with Jason Martin behind him. Michael Skurlock equally up 4 positions into 5th. So good start for those couple of drivers. Dyson will be happy he's managed to move out a couple of seconds into the lead at the start of this race.
Yeah, he's going to want to stretch that lead a little bit. You've got to be careful not to burn up your tyres too quickly, of course. So try not to use too much speed in the early stages. You've got to sort of ease it out a little bit, almost ration the track out. As I think I saw, it might have been Neil Pearson actually coming into... No, I saw one of the Simrigs cars having a bit of a moment onto the oval.
It might have been Stephen Williams.
No, sorry, it was Lachlan Oakvio, sorry. It's very similar coloured cars. So, yeah, no, that was nothing too interesting. Yeah, I thought he was having a bit of a moment.
Brando Campbell's just jumped in with the big cheer for Josh Mickelmore. We're just having a look at Josh, actually. He's right behind Michael Skurlock here. Just trying to close up on the 350. And, of course, Josh having an extraordinarily strong season. There was Neil Pearson off in the background again, so he's not having the start that he would have wanted to have here at all. We'll just quickly jump back and have a look at the replay. That just sounded like he might have lost the back of the number 9 entry.
Well, he's actually had a bit of a moment and gone into Aidan Schultz, going into the corner. So he's just tried to make a move on Schultz.
Schultz is way too far back.
Yep, Schultz has closed the door there, and that is just way too far back, a bit too ambitious from Pearson, and that has gone into the Aussie Esports car and spun both of them out, unfortunately. I was about to mention that Schultz has had a pretty good start with his teammate Ruben Phelps. They'd worked their way up the field nicely, but that's going to cost Pearson an awful lot, and that's not what he needs coming into the chase.
No, and obviously likewise for Aiden, so it's not the start that either of them would have wanted, that's for sure. So we'll switch back here onto the leader, Philip Worley, fastest car on track last time around, a 1:39.8 on the second flying lap around. So get into lap 3 here. Of course, no cautions tonight. It is circuit racing rules, so we'll go 50 flat out here. Expected the drivers. We've seen some unusual strategies throughout the season so far, and by unusual, I actually mean masterful strategies. They weren't off centre or anything like that. But we've seen guys do no single stops or even a no stop race throughout the ANZCAR series that we've been broadcasting. So I'm sure that we'll see too much of that tonight with the track temperatures, though. The guys will want to get fresh tyres on these rigs at some stage through the evening, but certainly here tonight, interesting to see Daniel Heddersheed pressing onto the back of Philip Worley as well.
He's going to want to put some pressure on Worley, not let him escape too quickly, and then try and do the same to Dyson at the moment. Good run at the moment for Jason Martin. He's managed to work his way up into P4 with Skurlock behind him, Josh Mickelmore, Joshua Carroll Walden there as well. Luke Trahare's trying to chase this pack down with Danny G just on his tail. And Edward Foster just in in 8th position at the moment, just ahead of Luke Trahere, but with a bit of damage on that car. So that's going to hurt his night. Of course, when you get damage on these cars, it can affect things like tyre wear, it can scrub things out a little bit, so not optimal for Foster. That's going to make his night a little bit tricky.
Just on top of the 035 and Harry Autosport entry of Daniel Heddersheed here. Just listen to the car there, just struggling a little bit out of the corners, but just had it in the wrong gear, I think. So just hear it there, just struggling away, but he's just ever so slightly closing in on Worley. Not sure what's going on there with that one, so we'll jump off board with that and just get back into the outside. As you can see, Jason Martin, as you're saying, in the background, he's just got that challenge coming to him of Michael Skurlock, albeit he is the one who has moved up a position. Josh Mickelmore with him, Joshua Carroll Walden closing in as well. So this is a little pack forming here for the battle for 4th place. Martin, very, very experienced campaigner, so he'll know what he needs to do to manage things here. Get on board with him as he gets on to the exit, onto the oval section of the track again.
Watch out behind him, because Michael Skurlock is going to get a nice bit of draft on the oval section here. Jason Martin, probably one of his favourite tracks, Indianapolis in the oval form, but the road course not so much. Skurley's going to look to come down the inside here. Watch, will he do it? He breaks a little bit early there, decides valet is the better part of discretion there, and discretion is the better part of valor, sorry, and just pulls out of that one. But just letting Jason Martin know that he is at risk. So Skurley's starting to put the pressure on Martin, try and force him into a little bit of a mistake. Skurley just trying a few different lines as well. The Welsh nibbler is nibbling away at Martin's 4th position at the moment.
Yeah, Edward Foster recovering here. You can see him just chasing down onto the back of Joshua Carroll Walden, his teammate there. So he's trying to make his way up onto the back of this pack in a recovery drive after just getting involved in that incident early in the race. So he's doing well to make that move back up. Clearly got pace here tonight in the 53 entry.
Yeah, I was just having a little bit of a look back and just saw Neil Pearson making another bit of a mistake. He had a bit of a run off of the circuit, so I think some damage is really affecting him lower down the field. He's currently sitting in 24th position, but definitely struggling in back car. We've got a good battle right now as Martin's teammate Josh Mickelmore is all over the back of Skurley. Now, the trouble is on a track like this is when you try and make an attack on the car in front, it leaves you open behind, and that's what Mickelmore is trying to take advantage of at the moment.
and across the start-finish line again. It's an opportunity here. Is he going to be able to do anything about it? Don't think so. They all slow up there and check up Martin. Just looking like he's putting up a little bit early there. And the cars of Micklemore and Skurlock just having to check up a little bit there. Managing to do so and keep things underway. So Norm Clark's gone off the track in the background as well.
Bit of a mistake there from Norman, unfortunately. Just going through those sections, and it's so easy to do on this track. It's one of those tracks that you just, mistakes really punish you, because there is a little bit of runoff with the tarmac, but there is a lot of grass around this circuit as well. So when you make a mistake, you get on that grass and all of a sudden you're a bit of a passenger. And if you don't hit the grass, you hit the old gravel traps and sand traps, and they make things a lot harder for you. Meanwhile, up at the front, Philip Woolley's starting to close in on Andrew Dyson. Hedishy's just keeping on the back of them. He's not quite on their tails at the moment, but he's just keeping them honest at the moment, hoping that these two start to battle a little bit, because that will help draw them back towards him. Hedishy might just be looking at just easing off a little bit, not pushing too hard, and just letting his tyres go a little bit longer, maybe just not push the car too hard. Scully's got a good run this time round on the oval section. Will he try for a little bit of a late break? Turn 1 isn't the best overtaking position, even though it is a heavy braking zone. It is very easy to make a mistake in there. You're much better off waiting until you get to around about turn 4 generally, because it's a little bit wider, and because it's not such a heavy braking area, you can sort of afford to make a little bit of a mistake there sometimes.
Yeah, it's sort of just a to and fro battle at the moment between these guys. So Micklemore just closes up on the back again onto Michael Skurlock. So just you can see the variety of strength and weakness amongst the drivers around this track. I think it would be a relatively easy one just because of how it's designed, but it's very tight and technical, particularly in these cars with low downforce, no brakes and narrow tyres. So the drivers having to work particularly hard here to get things stopped and turned and get through the corners without running wide and exposing themselves to a passing manoeuvre from the car behind. So there's no question Jason Martin will be feeling the pressure here, particularly with Scully right on the back of him as they get onto the oval circuit part of the track. Josh Micklemore doing the same, so Scully will have one of his eyes on the road in front, one behind and the other on the tacho. After all, he is Welsh, so it's just going to be interesting to see how they manage to get this done around here. There's a play at some stage that's going to enter into their minds about potentially doing an undercut if they feel they're being held up as well. So that potentially is something that we'll see from one of these drivers at some stage in the next 10 or so laps, maybe 15 laps, I'd say.
Yeah, it's the trouble with the undercuts can sometimes be at least you open later in the race, of course. So sometimes, you know, if you come in a bit too early, you can really start to suffer later on in the stint. So I'd expect there just be a couple of laps between them if they do decide to go with that.
The rest of the field here is sort of flattened out a little bit. We've got around about a half a second gap right the way back down through the field between the drivers. So it's a relatively tame start here. Jump aboard with Ruben Phelps, just have a show off of that fantastic livery that he's put together in Aidan Schultz in their new team. So they've spent a lot of time on those liveries and they look absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it just comes around through here. You can see it's got the silver fern down the side, and a lot of time's gone into that and a lot of effort's gone into it. So just say they had a reasonably promising start. So Phelps is just doing all Phelpsy things. He's up 4 spots at the moment into 15th position on track. Don't be too surprised to see him inside the top 10 a little bit later on in the program. Another one doing a good job is Dave Douglas. He's up 16 spots. Of course, the 199 lockdown entry. He joined us on the Monday night special event race as well, which was very good of him, filling in for Carl, so Carl could have a race, and yeah, doing a good job at it as well. So he's up 16 spots, our biggest mover of the night so far.
Yeah, we just had a little bit of an emergency, so I'll be a little bit quiet for a few moments. Sorry, Stuart.
No worries at all, Carl. So we've just gone across lap 9 or into lap 9, and just having a little bit of a look through the field here. Another one, of course, Matty Ray has taken out a race win this season, not in the cup, but doing his usual thing as well. Mr. Sheen keeping it clean. He's got Scott Griffith right behind him, so a little bit of pressure being applied, and Luke Trahair in front in the number 43 Way Down sponsored entry. The Way Down podcast and page, do have a look at that if you're into MMA, with all of your up-to-date action on undercards and fights and what have you coming up. With the Way Down, jump on their Facebook page and have a look. But there, Luke Trahair there currently in 10th position, and just breaking away a little bit there as he needs to get ahead. Hamish Gallagher, of course, was running in 4th position a little early on. He's struggled a little bit and has just dropped down the pack to 13th at the moment, so Dave Douglas is in pursuit of him, and you can see just a little bit of damage there as well from that earlier incident. So we have a look at the lead here now, and Andrew Dyson does have some company at the front. Philip Worley has managed to close the gap up on him significantly now, and it's just half a second. He's got to sniff Worley. Just have to be careful not to overshoot the tyres with a fair way to go yet. We've got 39 laps after this one. Guys having to be very, very gentle on the tyres. Not slide the car too much, but slide it just enough to still be quick. And that is a very, very difficult trick to master, particularly with the 42-degree temperatures on track. So the drivers will be very, very much aware of that, and the difficulty that will bring them a little later on in this stint. So we are expecting them to get to at least lap 25 here before jumping into pit lane. Give the race that nice even split down the middle, so they can run it out start to finish. So Carl did mention at the top of the broadcast there about the chase, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. So NASCAR run series called The Chase, and basically, from what I understand, it spawned from a driver who didn't win a race all year, taking out the NASCAR championship ahead of a driver who won 7 races in 1 year. And effectively what it does is to enable the top 16 drivers to have a chance at taking out the championship, to effectively balance out the bad results or unfair results, or results that may not necessarily have been at the driver's fault, and to allow them to chase down for the cup. So there is, like what we have in local sport, there is a minor premier, or there is a champion who is that person who leads the points at the top of the regular season or the regular races, which for us includes this one and 2 more following on from this tonight. And then we head into the chase, where we go through that tournament style championship run over 10 rounds. So it will take us through to the end of this ANZCAR series. So a fair way to go yet, but for the drivers now, it's all about making sure they secure those spots to get into the chase and have that opportunity to run for the title. Having a look now at Matty Raymond on the screen. He's got Hamish Gallagher just who's closed up just of the last minute or two, to be half a second behind him at the moment. The other one making a recovery is Neil Pearson, so he's currently up into 17th, having dropped all the way back down the field. He's behind Mirko Dortnak, who's having a good solid run so far, up 6 spots into 16th position, and most importantly with a clean car at the moment. So he'll be happy with his progress. Looking forward to making more of it. He just tries to keep Neil Pearson at bay, and there's Riley Curtis behind him as well, the new livery that Riley's put together. Can't quite get a good enough view on that one Very nice looking piece of kit he's got on the Ford there. As I said, things here just starting to slow down a little bit, just starting to stabilise. One thing that has happened is Edward Foster's made a move on Jason Martin as he continues his recovery, so he's now back into qualifying position there in P6. Jason Martin in P7. They both made the move past Joshua Carroll-Walden, who's still up 3 spots, and in P8, just managing nicely so far tonight in the 35 FGM E-Cast entry, if you don't mind. A little bit of self-indulgence, never hurt anyone. But great looking livery there, designed by Ed Foster, team owner at Atari. So he'll be pleased to see exactly what he's seen so far, which is that Header Sheet himself and JCW are inside the top 10. So it's somewhat of a return to form for Natari Autosport. So Foster took out the Truck Championship earlier, a couple of weeks ago. That concluded, and he'll be pleased to have his drivers inside the top 10, which obviously is going to improve their chances of securing a position in the chase. So, of course, Daniel Heddersheet actually won on debut after joining the Natari Autosport team. He's in the 035 Race Magazine entry, and took out the race win with a great run from around about 10th. The flags fell his way, and he managed to make the crack from 10th position and move himself up and take out not only his first win in the Cup Series, but his first win in the Cup Series on his first drive in the Cup Series for his new team. So I believe that's a feat that has not been performed before. So a good record there for him to hold, and he's doing really well here in P3, so he'll be pumped. Michael Skurlock, got Josh Mickelmore still behind him, putting some pressure on it. You've got Edward Foster there as well. Jason Martin, Joshua Carroll-Walden. It's a great camera angle. Brought to you by Track Cams for Gourmet, I should say. Air, just going there. Just through this one. It's a good angle. Some of my new toys that we get to play with on the stream here. Jump out of that one now and just get back on focus here with Michael Skurlock. Matty Hunter looks like he's had an issue. We'll jump back and have a look at that. And Matty Hunter just making the move on Tristan Cox here, and what's he done? I reckon he's just overshot the mark. He has. So do a quick U-turn, a relatively quick U-turn there, and make his way back out onto track. So relatively unharmed there, so he'll get back on with it and keep pushing forward. So Lachlan Urquhart and Riley Curtis now punching it out for P17. So Riley and Lockie have just made their way past Mirko Dortnack in the 62 entry, so they've progressed for position here, and just looking at what they might be able to challenge for here between one another. That 93 really pressing, Riley Curtis really pressing on the back of Lachlan Urquhart now. So Urquhart's got a little bit of work to do here. There's Daiso and Worley now heavily entrenched in a battle for the lead. They might just be maintaining pace a little bit here. Just trying to decide from Worley's perspective when he's going to make the challenge. So if he can take over the lead of this race, let Daiso do the work and just pick his time, see when he can get the move done. Maybe Daiso just burnt the tyres up a little early to allow Wally to come back into this one, but these two will race absolutely for the lead of this race. Wally did say, it was 2 weeks ago, might have even been last week, after Watkins Glen, that he understands at the moment that his role in the team is to help his teammates get into the chase, as his campaign has been affected by rounds where he was unable to drive. But that doesn't mean these two won't be racing at the front of this pack at all to try and make sure that he gets the win. Dyson reasonably comfortable to make it into the chase, but of course then there's priority positions and what have you inside that top 16, so we wanted to finish as high up as he can. Wally will push him here. You can see it already. Jump on top with Philip Wally. Ruben Phelps now under pressure from Lachlan Urquio. Urquio looking to move down the inside. He's not quite going to get it done. Phelps has had to run deep in the corner, and that's allowed Riley Curtis to try and make a move as well. Curtis gets under Urquio here, so he picks up a position as Urquio got aggressive to make that move. And Curtis has just run past as well a wide Ruben Phelps, so that's helped him. Curtis there, good move from him. He's moved up 2 positions very, very quickly. He's getting the job done there. He's been battling away with Urquio. Urquio's made the move as well on Riley. Curtis is gonna fight back. Sorry, my apologies on Ruben. Ruben's gonna fight back there. So decided just to pull out of that one with potentially just some tactics there, just wanting to save his tyre. Let these guys get through, because of course Curtis and Urquio have both been through pit lane, so they are on, albeit 1 lap, but 1 lap better rubber. Neil Pearson continues his press up the field. He's got Matty Ray next in line, so Pearson will be running deep as he has been through pit lane. Trying to continue his press up the field. So you can see there Matty Ray just at the end of that main straight. So we've got Dave Douglas up there as well, a few seconds up the road. It's all pretty tame here at the moment. FGME cast with ANZCAR for your Thursday night, wherever you're watching from around Australia or across the world. 17 laps through 50. And look at Dave Douglas here. So he just ever so slightly has opened the gap up on Matty Raymond. But still plenty of work to do. 199. He'll be certainly looking to get inside the top 10. He's up 17 spots now, which is a fantastic effort this early in the race. There's Scotty Griffiths just heard in the background there, a little bit of a slide, so he's had a single spin incident. Matty Ray continues to try and hold out the gap here. Looks like Pearson is strong down through the straight here, so in the next couple of laps he'll make up a little bit more time. Might be able to just get this one done. So Houston's got past Matty Ray there. Go back and have a quick look at that one. Just a nice, comfortable move there down the inside for Pearson. Too much fight put up by Matty Ray. And that's another position gain back for him, so he continues his quest up the field. He's got Dave Douglas as the next car for him to get hold of. And then Luke Trahere, so Mirko Dortnax had an issue as well, so he's just rejoining. So you can see the gap there closing again as Pearson continues his charge. Dave Douglas next on the list. We'll pop back to that one and jump up the front a little further here. Have a look at Ed Foster and Jason Martin as they continue their push. So they're closing the gap on Josh Mickelmore, but haven't quite managed to close it enough yet, even just between them. So just looking to keep things nice and consistent at the minute. Up to the front now, around 20 seconds, so it's a reasonable gap. To the leader of this race, that is. Not to Josh Mickelmore, he's only a couple of seconds up the road. He has just dropped off the back of Michael Skurlock as well. And have a look at these two at the front, Dyson and Worley. Griffiths is doing what he does. As Neil Pearson makes the move past Dave Douglas. Pearson now up into 12th position. Dave Douglas there just getting a real loose on the exit, jumping on the gas too quickly. Just letting the 199 fly. Pearson goes a little deep there, but doesn't affect him too much. He's now got to make the chase to Luke Trahere. He's about 6 seconds up the road. Luke just running in a world of his own at the moment. He's got a 6 second gap back to Pearson. 4.5 to Luke Trahere. I was going to say there's a pass trying to be put on there for the leader. Just saw it flash up on my screen. And so it does look like Worley here is trying to get the move done. And Andrew Dyson into the drag race now down the front straight. That's down the front straight back more. Oh, there's a squeeze on there. He's just squeezed Dyso wide. Dyso's trying to get it pulled up. Oh no! There's contact between the two DPR cars there. They were racing for position. And they just ran out of track. Dyso he got pushed wide onto the grass and could not get the 041 pulled up in time, and got the perfect connect 4 there with his teammate Philip Worley. So two racing hard, and we've seen it plenty of times before with professional races where they come together. What can you do when they're racing away? Absolutely nothing. So it doesn't look like the damage is too bad. Still a solid gap at the front. 7 seconds back to Daniel Heddershee, but this has allowed Philip Worley to cut and run a little bit. See if the steering of Dyson is a little bent or not. jump on board with him here. Of course, we've done that during the best bit of the track to have a look at it, but just a little bit, ever so slightly, but not enough that it's going to make too much of a difference to Daiso there. Philato jumping in the stream. Settle down, boys. Absolutely, Phil, but it's good to see him racing. You always expect from these two, so... And, yeah, good, close stuff. Not too much damage done, which is fortunate, so Daiso, no doubt, will be back to up onto the back of Worley and try and get that position back. We're a few laps away from stops here. Great shots here on the main straight. Just getting the 233 pulled up there. Michael Skurlock actually the first to jump, so he's into pit lane. He's going to get his stop done now. 4 tyres, get some juice into the 350 and head back out on his way temporarily. That's moved Martin, Edward Foster and Josh Micklemore up 1 place respectively, so 4th, 5th and 6th now. Danny G, Hamish Gallagher also have made their way past. So the next questions are who and when. Who else is going to pit in and when are they going to do it? Well, the who is a relatively straightforward answer. It will be everyone, but the when is the big question. Gap is closing between Worley and Dyson. Peter Sheed comfortably in 3rd place at the moment. He's 8 behind, 8 in front of the respective positions, Chaser and Challenger. So the back of 35 or 35 there as he does it directly for us, just getting a little loose, and that has prompted the decision by Daniel Hedersheed to jump into pit lane. So he's going to make the move. Pulls it up right on time at that yellow line there, so just maximising that entry as much as he can. He's the first of our front 3 to jump in. Edward Foster, teammate, 53 Natari Autosport entry, jumps in as well. Don't be too surprised to see Joshua Carroll Walden jump into pit lane as well. So Josh Micklemore now temporarily up into 3rd place, so he's got some free air hopefully for himself to be able to run to the end of this stint, make up maybe a little bit of time, close the gap to those in front, and that extra lap or 2 that he's going to be out there will serve him well towards the end of this race when he gets the fresh tyres on. And we'll have that little bit of extra in them towards the end. Of course, they do plateau, but you'll still get the benefit of those. As our leading pair come into pit lane. So, on that exact midpoint, Josh Micklemore jumping in as well, Jason Martin, so it's going to start here. Interesting to see if Dyson slightly short fills this one to get himself out in front. Stan G goes through, he's going to go through into the lead of the race. You know the situation with the fill. No, has not Stops were identical for Worley and Dyson. 2/10 between them for the whole stop. So they are fueled up and ready to go to the end of this race. Here on All About Managing Tyres. Just making sure you got enough if you got to fight off at the end. It's been pretty smooth sailing so far, so fancy to see towards the end of this one. It's going to be relatively well positioned affair. But Danny G's still got to make his stop. He's got 6 seconds to Worley and Dyson behind on fresh tyres. So how long will he stay out for in the 24 Mitch Motorsport entry? Just not too many more laps. Majority of the field has come in. Matty Raymond, the only one a little further back to not have made a stop yet. He's currently sitting in 8th position. So Danny G has jumped into pit lane. Things have resumed status quo at the front. Drag races on here between the DPR boys. Daiso pulls it up. Won't get the move done yet. So Matty Ray's in pit lane as well. Barry Neal's jumped in. Looks like Jason Martin's had an issue. Not sure what happened there. It registered an incident. A bit of damage on the left-hand front corner there, so let's just up back and have a look. Might have just run wide at the exit here. He's gone right around and off into the wall. It's a heavy impact there. Bit of luck too for Tristan Cock, I believe, behind him, and Scotty Griffiths. So just ran back around on the infield there and got himself back out safely without impacting other drivers. So that drops him down the list to 13th now. He's got a little bit of work to do, Jace, to get back up. Lost position. He's got Neil Pearson in front of him, who continues his resurgence. So Pearson closing down Luke Trahere, just on 3 seconds behind him. Now Pearson, so was 6 seconds, half a dozen or so laps ago. On board now with Trahere. Just hear him managing the throttle there a little bit as well, just to make sure that it's not burning over those tyres. Going to run those now till the end. 550, Tristan Cock down the inside there. Dreher gets that move done. He's now chasing down Joshua Carroll Walden. There's only 1.6 seconds up the straight. Danny G's popped out in front of him after his pit stop. Up 25. We've got Gallagher and Foster a bit further up the road. If we run back down through the order, we've got Worley, Dyson, Heddersheed, Skurlock, Micklemore, Foster, Gallagher, Danny G, JCW, and Luke Trahere as our top 10. And a few changes at the top. Skurley up 5 positions into P4. Now he's had a good run. Biggest mover of the night so far, however, is Dave Douglas in 13th. He's up 16 places on his qualifying position. So it's been a good, solid run for him. JCW potentially about to come under threat. Could also give the follow-up to Danny G in front of him. So this little battle pack is not finished yet. the front's opened up ever so slightly now. It's half a second between Worley and Dyson. That'll get caught back up in the draft on the front straight. So head across the bricks. Let's go to get there yet. Head back around once more. 22 laps to go now. Yeah, Trevi's doing a good job making his way back up the field. Just three positions down now, so he's got a bit of damage on the left-hand side of the car. It's doing all right. Same with Ed Foster, who was involved in that incident. So. Josh just runs wide there. That's going to open the door for Edward Foster. Makes his move back up there. Moved up into 5th position now. There we go. You've put the commentator's curse on Josh Mickelmore there as he's run wide. And that also, that's now just pushed out to 3.5 seconds, unfortunately, between the two of them.
The commentator's curse striking once more and always coming in hard and effective.
Welcome back, Carl.
Yes. Minor plumbing emergencies have gone.
So just to recap, everyone through their pit stops now, and we were just having a look back through the field at some of the closer battles. Jumped onto by demand onto Ed Foster and Josh Mickelmore. So we've got Dave Douglas, he's being chased down by Riley Curtis. There's under a second there between them. And it's been pretty smooth sailing up at the front as well, albeit the two DPR cars did come together a little bit earlier on, racing for position. So that gap's blown out to just on a second. So as it sits, Neil Pearson's just managed to make his way past Luke Trahere. So he continues his resurgence after some early incidents.
I imagine he's got a little bit of repair done in the pit stops just to straighten out that front right-hand side that was a bit damaged after early coming together, and that will hopefully settle that car down a little bit. He looks like he's got some speed. Now he's got Joshua Carroll-Walton to chase down, a couple of seconds in front of him, so trying to recover the night for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. He struggled a little bit early on, Pearson, but he's making a good drive back now to get towards the front of the field. So he's back inside the top 10 as it sits. Another one having a relatively quiet night so far. Just trundling around is Michael Skurlock. He's currently in 4th position. So he has got Ed Foster chasing him down. Foster fastest on the last lap around, so by 2/10. He's just closing the gap. There's still about 3.5 seconds between the two of them. So he's got a little bit of work to do there still, but bit of race management as well, with 20 to go. Want to make sure these tyres last as well as they can.
Yeah, getting the car to the end now is the important part. There's a good little battle going on down for 15th, 16th and 17th as well between Matty Ray, Norman Clark and Lachlan Urquio at the moment. Those guys are relatively close together. Barry Neal's going to be trying to chase them down as well. If he can get down to those guys, but those three are battling it out on track. Matty Ray, the winner at the moment. Norman Clark getting attacked quite hard by Lachlan Urquhart at the moment, so that battle is getting a little bit spicy between the 09 and the 42.
Indeed, Lockie struggled a little bit earlier on, but he's trying to make his way back up through the pack as well. So a couple of drivers just probably getting used to the track temperatures as well. This is another one that's been raging on. Joshua Carroll-Walden's just been doing what he needs to do, but just not quite able to hold out a couple of the guys with Foster and Mickelmore and that making their way through. Neil Pearson's now up onto the back of him, so may not be too long before Josh drops back down into 10th as Pearson continues his charge.
I imagine Carroll-Walden will do all he can to make that the widest Camaro in the world in front of Pearson, but there's only so much you can do when there's a fast charger like that coming up against you. It gets a little bit intimidating, but you do try and position your car a little bit just to make it a tiny bit harder. You can see him just going very wide there, just causing Neil just have to try and take a slightly tighter line. That gives him a less run onto the oval section. So JCW is going to get a better run off the corner, so he should have a little bit better straight line speed here. But of course, Pearson is going to get a nice advantage of the toe as they come across the yard of bricks down towards turn number 1. Pearson going to try for a late braking manoeuvre. It's a brave position to do it. He goes in late. JCW sees it. He turns in a little bit later than Pearson. He's going to try and get the up and under into turn number 2. Will JCW be able to keep it? Not quite. You can see Pearson there making the move. Very well done from Pearson.
Good aggression from him as well. Good awareness from JCW too. That could have ended up in tragedy if he had a turn back across there. So good racing room given by both drivers there, and another position gained for Neil Pearson. He is really, really coming. He's made solid progress over the last 10 laps or so, and now finds himself in P9 with Danny G just up the road from him. It's next on his list.
Of course, those earlier incidents making it a little bit harder for himself, but he is managing to make the best of a bad situation. We've got Dave Douglas and Riley Curtis now at the 199 and 93, battling it out on track. You see Riley Curtis getting a nice little bit of draft down the straights between 7 and 8. He's going to try for the inside move into turn 8 here. Not an easy place to pass because you go down towards turn 9, so sort of changes from a right-hander to a left-hander, so you can sometimes catch yourself out a little bit there. Riley's going to try for a better run out of turn number 11 and try and get a good draft on Dave Douglas here going down towards turn number 1 again. So watch Riley try and get a little bit of a better run out of the final corner, and he is going to try and stick to the back of the 199 of Dave Douglas and try and get the draft and try and make a move into turn number 1. Not the easiest place to pass, but if you can make it work, as we saw with Neil Pearson, it works very well.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's far enough up there, Riley, to make the move. Maybe next lap around. We'll try and get that done on Dave Douglas. Up at the moment, just check the guys out the front. See what Worley and Dyson are doing as they cross the bricks one more time. And Dyso's just closed that gap down now. It's down to 3/10. Was he out as far as 7/10 a while ago? So Dyson's just working his way back up onto the back of Worley. You can see the damage on the right hand front corner of Worley's car there, and not affecting him too badly. The pace hasn't dropped off that much across the stint.
Jumping down to Lachlan O'Connor, making a move on Matty Raymond through the twisty section. He's managed to get past Norman Clark and now up past Matty Ray as they get onto the straight between 7 and 8 now. Nice move there from Lachlan O'Connor, putting on a decent charge. So he's going to want to try and catch up to Riley Curtis, who's got a bit of a gap between himself and Lachlan, so he's got a little bit of time to make up, of course. The battle now is on between Douglas and Curtis, though. Curtis getting a much better run out of the final corner this time. He's going to get a little bit of a better draft in that 93, and he might just be a tad closer as they come up to turn number 1. See there, he's going to look to go down the inside. He's just pulling out of Dave Douglas's slipstream there. Makes for the late braking move. Goes in nice and late there. Dave gives him a nice bit of room there. Nice racing between them. Looks like an easy pass for Riley Curtis. Dave Douglas not putting up too much pressure. Dave trying to make the move back, but can't quite get it done. Riley looks like he's got a little bit better tyre life than Dave at the moment.
Yeah, just closing that out there. So move for position. So the 93 moves up into P13. He's still got a few places to make up. Get back to where he started it all at the start of the night, but has done well so far. Jump up here.
As Kristen Cock has had his engine go. So he's had a big moment somewhere. Well, he hasn't had a moment actually. His engine's just let go. So possibly some damage earlier on in the race, or something's gone wrong for Tristan, and his engine has decided it's had enough for the night, and that car will be limping its way hopefully to pit lane for some possible patch jobs. But other than that, I think his night is done.
Yeah, it almost sounded like it just completely let go there, but still managing to make his way, produce a smoke screen around the track. But, we're just going to jump up here and have a look. The gap had closed up again. So Michael Scott about half a second slower last time around than Edward Foster. So to be able to see the gap there, it's visibly starting to close between the 350 and the 53. So we'll keep an eye out on that one to see how that progresses over the next few laps. We'll jump back to that shortly. Riley Curtis just breaking away ever so slightly from Dave Douglas. Dave Douglas probably trying to get the move done back down here on Curtis, just not quite close enough as they came onto the front straight to be able to do too much about it. So not able to get that position back. Just needs to stick in that draft if he can, and potentially get that move done. We've had this stage 9 drivers drop out of proceedings thus far this evening. So left with a field of 21. Tristan Cox still in pit lane. That car will expire though, so we're going to have 20 finishes at this stage with 15 laps to go here.
Good battle going on for 8th and 9th at the moment. We have Pearson all over the back of Danny G in the Mitch Motorsport car. Danny G trying his best to defend from a fast charging Pearson, who is putting his car in a few different lines just to try and unsettle Danny G, just trying to take up his mirrors with that white Simrigs entry and just try and throw him off a little bit. Will we see a very late braking move from Pearson into turn 1? Looks like Danny G's just lost a little bit of drive out of the corner there. He got a little bit loose. That's going to cost him a tiny bit. And this is going to give Pearson the opportunity here to go into turn 1. Is he going to make the move? He goes down, waits for the late break, and does indeed make the pass on Danny G. Neil Pearson locks up though on the exit there, and he's going to lose that position. Joshua Carroll Walden's going to come fast charging up behind him as well. So Neil Pearson's going to need to settle down, get back into the rhythm of things. Easy mistake to make, especially when you brake from that far back.
Absolutely, and he's pushing quite hard, of course, on this set of tyres to make up the gap and get himself back up inside this top 10 well and truly. So that's going to come at a cost for tyre wear. Of course, that little bit of damage on the right hand front corner of the car won't be helping things either. So he's going to have to do all the hard work again to make his way past Danny G.
Have to reset up that move, and that's going to take time, and it's time that he does not have exactly. He needs to try and make up those spots as quick as possible so he can start chasing down Hamish Gallagher and then possibly Josh Micklemore towards the end. We've got 14 laps remaining here, so it is starting to close down a little bit. Philip Worley is in the lead at the moment over Andrew Dyson. Daniel Hedesheed in 3rd position, Michael Skurlock in 4th, Edward Foster in 5th at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, Matty Ray under pressure from Norman Clark and Barry Neal. So there's a good solid battle going on here for 16th position. And Barry Neal just wants to get involved in this one as well. So these 3 drivers going at it for P16. Cars looking in reasonably good condition. No troubles there, as it looks like Barry Neal's going to put the move on Norm. Clark just not quite far enough to get it done.
going to be a good battle there between those guys. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson's making the move on Danny G right now, going through underneath Danny G, trying to get that move done nice and early into the twisty sections of 9 and 10. So he's going to, sorry, between the 6 and 7. Danny G's going to have an opportunity here, just try and get a little bit of a run on Neil Pearson. If he can get the late braking work, he could possibly get up there. It gives him an opportunity down the back straight, but I think Pearson's got a little bit too much pace for Danny G to try and remake that move at the moment. Meanwhile, Norman Clark has dropped back a little bit behind Barry Neal right now, so these guys are still battling it out. Barry Neal working his way up between the two cars now. Matty Ray now going to have his mirrors filled full of that lovely black and orange paint job of the Aratora racing team.
He's going to try and get the job done there on Matty Ray. He's got a little bit of work to do. See him there just in the draft here. Down the back straight. This one pulled up. He's trying to defend himself against the charge going around into the end of, or the start of the next lap. So just needs to keep that gap maintained as best as he can. So Pearson, the hard charger now, has some work to do to catch up to the back of Hamish Gallagher. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. The battle between Michael Skurlock and Edward Foster has stabilised a little bit now at around about 3 seconds. So potentially not much more to do there, unless there's a mistake, of course.
Is very easy to do on a track like Indianapolis. It's one of those tracks that it's got a good flow to it, but it is so easy to make a little mistake here. Just snag the brakes once and you're going to have a big moment going off across the grass or a gravel trap, and it costs you a lot of time. So as we saw with Neil Pearson earlier in the race, you know, that little mistake just built up for him, dropped him right down the field. So he's having to do a lot of recovery work with that one. Speaking of, he's catching on to the back of Hamish Gallagher, so that will be a battle in around about, I'd say, about 2 or 3 laps time. That battle will come to fruition. Hamish Gallagher doing a good job in the top 10 as well, just behind his teammate Josh Micklemore there. Micklemore, of course, trying to take out the regular season's championship, of course, currently leading just ahead of that man, Hamish Gallagher. So those two going to be wanting to get a strong finish to the regular season at least.
Yeah, sort of going through the chase and how that works and the regular season stuff a little bit earlier in the broadcast, just to start that run in. So there are 2 more rounds of the regular season after this one, and then we get into that ever so important chase set of events. So there's 10 rounds, I believe, that we will get through to conclude the chase. So the Mitch Motorsport guys have been extraordinarily dominant this season so far, so they'll be trying to close that one out as well where they can.
Yeah, they've had an incredibly strong year, of course, getting all of their cars up in the chase at the moment. All their cars in the top 10 of the championship is a fantastic stat to have. No other team has managed to get all their tip cars in there. The only other team that has more than one in the series is of course, DPR with Dyson and Pearson, of course. Dyson having a fantastic first season in Cup as well. Very, very strong debut to his career in the Cup racing. Currently having 5 wins overall, the most of anyone in the Cup series. So he's got the most wins at the moment, and he's been doing a fantastic job getting even a couple of those wins on the ovals as well.
So say and a mix as well, not just on the circuit where he is by confession the strongest in these cars, but he's also taken out a couple of Cup oval wins as well. So bodes well for DPR when he gets his head, as he says he hasn't quite got yet around these cars on the oval, but he's had an extraordinarily good entry into the Cup, as has Worley as well. Actually, he's just not been able to quite race as much as consistently as Dyson has this season. So he's going to be one to watch out for next season if he can get some extra time. But it's no surprise at all that the Mitch Motorsport boys are nice and strong and have been all year round. As you said, Atari Autosports as well, enjoying a late bask in the sunshine towards the end of the season, just consistently inside the top 10, which will be what they'll be wanting to do heading into the chase.
Consistency is the important part, and of course the defending champion Edward Foster, he's going to want to try and have a strong finish to his season. It's not been the strongest year for Foster. He has been struggling a little bit, and those wins haven't been coming to him where he's wanted them, but he has been consistent, and that's been the key to keeping him in contention for the chase at least. So he's going to want to have at least a strong finish. For that, of course, we saw him take out the Truck Series Championship Season 2 of the Trucks as well, and that was on consistency, but taken out in style with a victory in the final round.
Yeah, indeed. So, good thing is you've got to be in the chase to win it, and should get there in the 53 as well. So, maybe just planning the run at the right time. Could do a Bradbury, just run his way through the chase and potentially take out the second championship for Atari Autosport in the seasons. So, as you mentioned, with that truck being the first, that truck series being the first series that Foster's won for Atari Autosport. So he was pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, very much so, and it's a nice thing to have for a new team, is getting a championship under your belt. Of course, we're just seeing Mitch Motorsport, a team that has many championships under their belt, including this man, Hamish Gallagher, taking out the Xfinity Series for Thunder with a great season for him, a very consistent, again, season for him, where he just proved consistency was king, good, strong finishes all throughout the year, managing to snag him that championship in the end. So two very powerhouse teams wanting to battle it away, and then of course you have DPR, one of the strongest teams for wins this year in any of the series. Not quite got the championships yet, but they are definitely in contention, so don't count them out yet. So very much a lot of people looking to get in there. And what about the couple of wildcard entries that will be sort of getting their way in? I say wildcard, but I mean sort of the drivers that haven't necessarily had the most consistent years, but they have had some good, strong finishes. They've not had any major victories or sort of big, strong top 5 finishes, but been consistently in the top 10. People like Matty Ray, Luke Trahair, Ruben Phelps, Stephen Williams, even Joshua Carroll Walden, those guys all in contention to get into that final place of the chase. So they're going to be wanting to look to try and get in there, and of course getting into the chase means that you are within a shout of winning that championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Dave Douglas there, just getting it really, really loose on the entry to the main straightaway, so not ending up in the wall, which is handy, because it wouldn't have ended very well for him. It's going to say the gap at the front's just stretched out now to 3.5 seconds, so Philip Worley has moved his way out into the front and away from the pressure of Andrew Dyson, so that has spread out at the front there. So we're a little sparse for battles at the moment. Everyone's sort of even out. This is actually the closest two drivers on track, being Barry Neal and Matty Ray. Barry Neal getting the job done to move up one position on Matty Ray, so to resume 16th position. And he's potentially going to try and press on to see what he can do about catching Lachlan Urquio, who's 7 seconds up the street.
Yeah, Lachlan Urquio, meanwhile, is chasing down Dave Douglas. Double D is busy fighting away on his couch and trying his best to keep Lachlan away from him. Lachlan taking a little bit of a later stop, slightly fresh tyres for him, obviously. He's doing a good run to work his way up there and chase down Dave Douglas. So he is really starting to catch up to Dave, who seems to be really struggling on those rears at the moment. He is lighting them up out of every corner and just looks like he's just got a bit too much heat in there. So he's just going to need to try and let them settle down a little bit. Just ease off the brakes a little bit. Maybe try and think about putting the bias a little bit more towards the front rather than the back, just to keep that back section a little bit cooler. because yeah, he's starting to struggle a little bit with that rear, it looks like, because they are getting very leery. So you'll see Lachlan Urquio just really catching up to him, under braking right there and getting right up towards him. So that battle is very much on, and you've got to say Lachlan Urquio is on a bit of a charge at the moment.
Yeah, these two actually a lap down, so they've got plenty of work to do, but still able to move up. Riley Curtis is 17 seconds to the good in front, so you'd assume that it's all she wrote there for these two, but again, you never know.
All it takes is one big mistake, and that can be it. And, you know, we've seen it possibly, you know, Tristan Koch earlier on, we saw him have that engine go. And all it takes is one ill shift. Of course, these things do use an H-pattern box, and a lot of the drivers do run with those. And all it takes is a slip of the shift, and if you put it into the wrong gear, then all of a sudden your engine will go kaput and go blow on you. So you've got to be really careful of that, and that's one of the struggles of actually driving these cars, especially if you use an H-pattern, because it is such a different way of using the gears, and it is sometimes very easy to miss a gear and put it into the wrong one, of course, on a road course like this where you are shifting between them all. Oh, Dave Douglas loses the rear end there onto the oval, onto the yard of bricks, loses the rear end and gets a big tank slapper. That's going to give Lachlan Urquio the place. Dave Douglas manages to salvage it. That was almost a huge crash.
Yeah, Urquio very lucky to get away with it down the inside there. Just lucky that the 199 got sort of caught up in the wall, and meant that Urquio could just make his way through. Of course, he was close enough behind to try and challenge for a pass potentially down the end of the straight, but plenty of damage now on the 199, particularly that left-hand front corner. He's still struggling with those rear tyres. He's probably going to have to jump into pit lane and get a new set on that. He may have just gone one step too far with him, and he's just really struggling.
One of the big things you've got to worry about in that stage is, of course, if they blow on you. So he might well be in because he's going to need to get some repairs done. But he'll be looking at his timers and thinking, oh, can I keep myself ahead of a few of these guys? I mean, he's got a bit of a gap to himself from Norman Clark and Ruben Phelps, but Barry Neal and Maddie Raymond are definitely going to catch him, you'd say, at this current pace. So big disaster there for Dave Douglas, and that just shows how quick it can happen. As we said, all it takes is a momentary lapse of concentration and just a millimetre out, and that is your race over and done with.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful getting this lap done as well, because of course they'll be nice and warm now, and you can just see he's just struggling a little bit. It looks like the car's crabbing almost, just with the amount of loss of grip there. So particularly as well, he's kept it out there, but just struggling very much so with that Mustang.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time to get that thing home, but he'll do his best. He's no stranger to struggling, Dave, and he's no new guy to racing, but it's going to be one heck of an effort to get that thing back to the line, as we've got 4.5 laps remaining of this race. So it's getting towards the end parts of the race right now. Philip Worley's still got a nice lead, around about 6 seconds over Andrew Dyson. Andrew Dyson himself got a good sort of 18-second lead over Daniel Hedersheed in third position. Michael Skerlock and Ed Foster fourth and fifth as well. Not much between them, although Josh Micklemore is slowly catching on Foster. Not much between them, but Josh Micklemore has started setting some good lap times, so he is closing the gap on Edward Foster, trying to reel him in a little bit, but maybe a little bit too little too late for him.
Yeah, I can't really see that changing at the moment. Lap times now just starting to drop a bit for Micklemore. He's in the 35s, plus the last time around 36. So Micklemore and Gallagher there just struggling a bit. Yeah, Brad, it is, mate. Dave's struggling with the rear tyres at the moment. But, battling away with some damage as well. So he's on board here with Josh Micklemore. So about 3 seconds away.
And just jumping back to Dave Douglas, got Barry Neal about to make a move on him into turn number one. Barry Neal's going to brake a lot later than Dave Douglas here, get the move done down the inside, and get it through the 199 without too much struggle there. Dave Douglas, not much he can do in that situation, just really holding on to the car so he doesn't fall too many places behind. He's just thinking about finishing ahead of Norman Clark at the moment.
Yeah, and they're also battling with the leaders who are making their way through here as well, so got to focus on a couple of different things at the moment. The rears on that Ford well and truly spent, along with that damage that he's got. Just having a look at Josh Mickelmore. He last time around, he's actually cutting a fair chunk of time out of Edward Foster at the moment. So lap prior to this was nearly a second. This lap just gone, he was 3/4 of a second in terms of time taken out of Edward Foster there. So currently down to 3 seconds, the gap between the 53 and the 31 entry. You can see now they're in the same picture, so this one here, potential to close right up as we get to the last few laps of the race.
Yeah, that battle is starting to look like it could be possible for Mickelmore. He's really got to put the pressure on Foster and hope Foster just cracks a little bit. Just if he makes a little mistake here and there, then Mickelmore will be able to take advantage of it. His teammate Jason Martin is trying to do the same to Luke Trahere at the moment, a little bit further down the field. The Way Down podcast sponsored 43 just being chased by the ever purple 21 of Jason Martin at the moment. Martin putting in some good laps these last few times and just a couple of attempts quicker, so those guys are relatively close on track as well, so expect that battle to possibly come into effect with 1 lap to go. It's going to be a interesting last lap. Skurlock's lost a lot of time as well. He's fallen back a little bit towards Foster as well, so there have been a few little moves, and it looks like people are starting to struggle on this last run as they're coming towards the end of this race. Of course, it is a long race, 50 laps around this track, and it does take an awful lot out of you as a driver, but it takes an awful lot out of the car as well.
Yeah, and Josh Mickelmore actually last lap around fastest lap on the track with a 1:34.61, so he is well and truly flying at the moment. So.
Yeah, very much so, and we are setting up for a great battle, as Bradley Allison just saying, between very good drivers, possibly for 4th, 5th and 6th, by the looks of things, if it remains as it is, because Skurlock is dropping time at a vast rate of knots. He's falling back into the grasp of Foster. He's got Ruben Phelps just in front of him, who is not overly helping him get going down a lap, but he's managed to get through quite easily there. But he has lost an awful lot of time, so this could be a real battle for these last 2 laps.
Yeah, I just wondered if you might have had a concern about fuel or something like that and be saving a little bit, but I think it's just been held up in that lap traffic, so that has really opened him up to Foster and Mickelmore. Mickelmore again 3/4 faster that lap around than Foster, so he is well and truly coming. That gap now down under 3 seconds. Sorry, under 2 seconds, my apologies, is what I meant to say. So he's got that gap well and truly down under 2 seconds now. So he's got 2 laps to go. It's going to be a tight run to the finish between these two, at the very least, if Foster can catch up on Skurlock as well. So that gap 2.5 seconds. So they've still got to get past Ruben Phelps to get at Skurlock, so that might take them a little bit of time just with those 2 laps to go. Maybe too much time, as we are on the final lap now. Sorry, I misread that one as well. A bit off song tonight, to be brutally honest, but we'll get it there in the end. So Wally has started the last lap of the race, so it might just be a little bit too little too late for Foster on Skurlock, but Josh Mickelmore certainly has got 1 more lap to do it as they come around, and we'll get started soon enough on that new lap. Final lap here as they get around the corner. It's going to be able to use the draft a little bit, you'd assume, at the end of the next lap. It's not going to help him right now.
it's going to be not too much helpful. We'll jump back to that battle a little bit later on, but coming around into the little bit of straight between 7 and 8 right now is Philip Worley, just getting past his teammate Stephen Williams there. Worley absolutely dominating this race, 10 seconds over his teammate Andrew Dyson at the moment, so he's got a nice bit of lead. Few more corners to make it, and he is going to cross the line. So this battle should be pretty fun to watch as they're going to get up to it. So it's been a great race from Philip Worley, commanding race, and we've seen this a few times, a few unfortunate errors and a little bit of bad luck here and there for Worley. We saw him almost get that win at Sonoma just to get picked with that fantastic outlap from Andrew Dyson, but Philip Worley is going to cross the line and become an ANZCAR Cup victor here. Congratulations to Philip Worley and DPR. Second place is going to go to Andrew Dyson. A great job from him.
So he comes around in the background. He's going to get the job done there. We'll quickly jump back now to this battle here. Edward Foster, Josh Mickelmore. Foster's got past Ruben Phelps, so he's got the job done there. Josh Mickelmore has to try and do the same thing. The gap's just out over a second as we get round to the last few corners. And I think, unfortunately, this is going to be a little bit too late for Foster to lose this position. He's going to get it done, head across the line and take home 5th position. We did miss Daniel Heddersheed and Michael Skurlock in that, but just wanted to get back and cover this battle, make sure that we didn't miss anything here. You can see how close it got in the end there. So a good run from them, and a good race overall from Hamish Gallagher as well. You can see Daniel Heddersheed here as well, taking home 3rd in the 035 Natari Autosport entry. So another good result for him. That gets 2 podiums out of 3 starts. In fact, that's 2 podiums out of 2 starts for Daniel Heddersheed in Natari Autosport. He did miss the week, so that is a good run from him, as our top 3 are Worley, Dyson and Daniel Heddersheed. Neil Pearson, a bit of a call out for him as well. He did a good job in making the drive back up. So the timely camera dropout has occurred as we get to the end of the race.
At least it was polite enough to wait to the end of the race for us. But yeah, good recovery from Neil Pearson. He was unfortunate to have that bit of an error. But yeah, he managed to work his way back up the field, up into P8 at the end. Good solid run from a few drivers out there tonight in the end. And yeah, let's run through the results quickly. So Philip Worley takes out the victory with Andrew Dyson in 2nd. 3rd place for Heddersheed and Skurlock in 4th. 5th for Foster. Mickelmore in 6th. 7th for Gallagher. 8th for Pearson. 9th for Danny G. JCW in 12th. 13th for Riley Curtis. 14th for Urquio. Neil in 15th. 16th for Raymond. Douglas in 17th. 18th for Phelps. Norman Clark 19th and 20th for Stephen Williams. 21st for Koch. The first car out of the race, unfortunately, Scott Griffiths 22nd. 23rd for Dornack. Matt Hunter 23rd. 24th. 25th for Jaeger, Schultz 26th, 27th for Witcher, Spencer 28th, 29th for Patton, and Phil Otto out early, unfortunately, due to a mechanical issue with his wheel, sadly. So hopefully that will all get back to working condition soon, and we'll get to see Phil back on track shortly.
Absolutely, as everything just decides it wants to play up all at once, but we'll get back into it here. So it is going to be a dark screen, unfortunately. I can't seem to get it to want to play, but we'll bring in the podium. Just waiting on Daniel Heddersheed to get in there. We bring Worley and Dyson in as well. So Carl, it was a pretty clean run there for DPR at the start. A little bit of an issue for Neil Pearson as he dropped down through the field, managing to drive his way back up into 8th position. So a good outcome for him. But plenty of clean racing throughout the night for us to have a look at there as we bring our podium into the broadcast booth to have a chat with the guys now. So, Carl, I'll get you to take it away.
Yeah, we'll start off with 3rd place man, Mr. Daniel Heddersheed. How are you going?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Good to be back.
It's nice to have you back. Second time back here in the Cup, and you're back up in the top three, mate. Not a bad result.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, those two in front, Andrew and Philip, man, they were class of their own. I couldn't do anything to them, but yeah, I'm happy. I'll take the third place. It was a boring race all alone, but sometimes a boring race is all right when you're on the podium.
Yeah, boring races, they get made a little bit sweeter when you make it up onto the podium, of course. I mean, one of the troubles, of course, with a boring race is sort of keeping your focus. And did you struggle at all with that part?
A little bit. As the race progressed, I sort of started to try and work on my driving because I'm really struggling with overheating the tyres. So it was a good practice session while I was running in third, just to start learning the car, trying to get the heat out of the tyres. Because following those two at the start, I just cooked them and had nothing for them.
Yeah, of course. It's one of the quirks of the old Cup car sometimes, that tyre management, and getting that part right is not always the easiest bit. Do you feel like you learned anything from tonight?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot, actually. That second stint, I feel like I was a lot more consistent. The tyres felt really good the whole way through the stint. A few different lines I was using and just a bit easier on the braking and accelerating, and it seemed to pay off a bit.
Oh, well, it paid off well. Another top three, and I mean, 2 starts this year in the Cup, and you've been in the top 3 for both of them, winning one of them as well. So we're going to see you much more this season?
Yeah, I'll try and make it to every round. There was actually a pretty stupid reason I missed last week. I had a little nap on the couch and woke up and the race had finished. So I intended to be here, but never made it.
Have to invest in an alarm clock for you for the future, of course.
Don't worry, it was set this week.
No, congratulations on the top 3 finish on P3. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, shout out to Natari Autosports, the two blokes in front of me, and good racing. You guys are way too quick. And Race Magazine, 2 fat blokes, Bridgestone Select, FMG eCast, and AJ Insurance.
Congratulations, Dan. It's great to have you back up here. Hopefully we'll get to see you in the booth again before the end of the season.
I'll try my best.
Next up, we'll head up to the second place man. Odd thing to say on the old road course circuits. We expect to say first place for you, Andrew Dyson. Congratulations on P2 there.
No, P2, mate. Not happy about that. No, I'm only joking. It was a really good race. Phil, he had me busted in those last 10 laps especially, so to the tune of about half a second a lap, so nothing I can say about that. He killed it.
Absolutely. I was going to say, he had some pace on you tonight. I mean, it looked strong coming in here. I mean, we know you're strong on the old road courses. We were talking in the broadcast. You've got the most wins of anybody in the Cup Series at the moment with 5. Obviously, you've been getting better and better on the old ovals as well. And it's definitely a tricky thing to get both of them working for you, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're so completely different, and I'm sure you're probably better off talking to some of the other guys. I mean, they've been racing circuits for a long time, and suddenly they're getting all these road courses thrown at them, which isn't easy for them. So, they'll tell you exactly how difficult it is. But I mean, there's so many oval courses that it probably makes it a little easier to start to pick it up when there's like only 3 or 4 or 5 road courses kind of all thrown in together at the end of the season. It kind of doesn't really mean much for them either, I guess, because they're already in the chase and they've just got to deal with one more road course in the chase. So it probably doesn't really mean a whole lot. But I mean, it's good to get back to the oval courses now anyway over the next few weeks and get stuck into them again, because that's why we're here. That's what we want to race around in the circles. So we'll have a bit of fun with that again.
Yeah, and speaking of the chase, I mean, you've worked your way up into P6 of the regular season championship, and you're looking very strong at the moment in contention of getting into the chase. How are you feeling confidence-wise as we're going to be starting to head into there in a couple of weeks?
I don't really know. I mean, I guess these guys kind of have a strat planned out or a bit of an idea of what they do or how they attack it. These guys being all the other guys that are kind of raced in ANZCAR for a while, or other over leagues, so they'll have a bit of an idea or plan of attack. And I guess for us, we're just going to have to try and suss it out. But Neil helps out with some ideas and some strat. But I mean, confidence-wise, I guess I just got to stop running into people, and those people know who I'm talking about. Apologies to those guys, and we'll all have a good time. That's what it's all about. So that's what I want to do.
So look, we wish you best of luck, and I'm sure we'll get you back up in the booth soon. Being in the unusual position of second, I mean, we don't get to talk to you last, so I mean, we'll have to just get your shout-outs out the way now, Andrew.
Oh yeah, well. Congrats to Whirly. Congrats to all the other guys tonight racing. Unlucky for Neil, he busted himself off the road at the start of the race. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have been right there having a good battle with us. Thanks to all the guys putting on the league. We really appreciate it. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and thanks to all our sponsors on the cars. And hopefully I'll see you next week.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get you back up in the booth soon. We're off to Michigan, a little bit different, of course, but I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth before the end of the season.
Hopefully. Thanks, guys.
Now, finally, up to the man that's been bridesmaid a couple of times this year. Now he's finally the bride. Congratulations, Philip Worley, on the first victory in the ANZCAR Cup.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
How does it feel to finally become a winner in the series?
Yeah, I won't lie. It's pretty good. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest. I was not expecting that. I didn't really feel like I had great pace, and qualifying probably proved that, but something just clicked in the race, and in that second stint, I just consistently kept banging out good laps, I guess.
What was your secret in that second stint? Did you just sort of look after the tyres a little bit better earlier on, or was it just getting consistency and a little bit more settled in the car?
Probably a little bit more settled in the car. The secret, no idea. Probably have to look at the data to actually find out what I was doing different to the other boys. But I think Daiso sitting so close behind was probably the big factor. That does hurt the tyres more than you think. I had that same thing happen at Sonoma, where you feel like you're actually saving the car because you're so close, but you're not. You're actually throwing them off and you don't realise it. So we'll have a look at the data, and we'll be prepared for the last road race in the chase for the boys that are in the top 10.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's been a good season for yourself as well. You've had a strong year. You've not been able to make every race, of course, but you've had a very strong season. As we said, some good top 2, top 3 finishes, as well as top 5 finishes, I think 6 overall in the year. A good first season in the ANZCAR and the ovals for you, and you look to be getting stronger on the ovals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every time you get in these cars, you get a bit more confidence, and definitely on the oval side, the more races you do, the more technique and stuff you pick up, and Neil's really good at teaching and helping us the way you need to drive these cars. So really on the oval side of stuff, without him, I'd probably personally be in a bit of trouble. But it's just a good fun series, like all the blokes are good, and you get along with them all. So, at the end of the day, you can jump in the green room and have a laugh, and that's the main thing, man. Like P20, P5, as long as you had fun, that's all that matters.
Like, fun is an important thing that is often forgotten about in motorsport, but it is a very important thing to have, and we're glad you've been enjoying it, and very glad as well to say that you are the latest of the ANZCAR Cup winners as well. Very well-deserved victory for yourself. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors.
Well, of course, FGM eCast for the broadcast, and ANZCAR for putting on an amazing series. And I know Daiso forgot, and he'd be devastated if I didn't say it. Full credit to the boys. And to our amazing sponsors, simrigs.com, Southall Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, BetSmart Racing Service, Alcoholder, Phoenix Smokers, and of course MP Designs for the beautiful liveries.
Congratulations on the 1-2 for DPR. Congratulations on the P3 for Natari as well. Well done, all 3 of you, and I'm sure we'll get to see you back in the booth before the end of the season.
Thanks, boys.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Man, you should have heard. I don't know about this having fun business, mate. Whirly was absolutely blowing up at the start of the race. Funny how his tune changed when he got in the lead.
Oh, Jesus.
No. Winners always claim they have fun.
Yeah, I reckon.
The coefficient of friction of grass, Daiso?
No, not real flash.
Not good, mate.
I'm blaming Willie for that one. No, it was all on me. I went in there too deep, like trying to hang around the outside, and he was probably a little bit wide of the apex. It was funny we didn't talk about that actually, but yeah. ended up off the road and I ran into him. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good racing up until that point. Plenty of respect shown. Just racing's racing, mate. It happens.
That's it.
Good stuff, guys. Well, thank you for that one. We'll obviously look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks, boys.
All right, see you guys.
Catch up. So,
Hey, another good race, Stuart.
absolutely. The racing good here tonight. Look, a relatively stable circuit race this week. We're heading back to the Oval next week, however, and I'm looking forward to that one. We've had a couple. Daiso touched on it there. Point actually, I hadn't really picked up on that much. There's only one circuit race in the Chase, so we're going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, with the strength of the DPR cars on the circuit. Not saying that they aren't strong on the oval as well, but they dominate on the circuit. So that's going to have an impact on how the Chase plays out.
Yeah, that's it. And of course, with the Chase coming into effect, it's mainly the ovals, and of course, there is the final round of the big one, the 4 races where there is the chance for winning that wonderful sim rig at Darlington that's going to be coming up in the Chase. So Skurlock's going to be looking to try and get the victory there. He's the only man in contention for that one, but we've got a lot still coming up in that respect for the year, and of course for the ANZCAR season. For the cups, at least, it's getting towards the tail end of the year. The important part of the year, though, in the Chase is definitely going to be that. But you have to get in to actually get a chance of winning it.
Absolutely. So, and for us as well, we still have a couple of quiet weeks. So the truck's off for another week on Monday. There's no special event running on Monday either. So we have the night off, Carl, again. We're back Tuesday with the Oz Pro Am Sim Series, and that's coming from Barber Motorsport Park, which is a track I've not until recently driven around. So it's going to be an interesting one there. High downforce, and with another strong field of 50 plus cars expected. That is going to be hectic. And then off Wednesday night and back on Thursday, as we mentioned, with the Cup once more. So looking forward to those couple of races and a little bit of a quieter week next week while we're in lockdown. Might even get a chance to jump in the sim rig and do some racing myself. But thanks for getting back tonight, Carl, and hopefully it's not been too bad for you on your recovery journey. But look forward to seeing you back on Tuesday night.
It's good to be back, and hopefully no pipes will explode next broadcast, because that makes things a little bit more interesting mid broadcast. But yeah, it's good to be back, and looking forward to next week. It's going to be a fun and exciting week for sure. And as always, a big shout out and thank you to everybody that's been watching and will watch in the future. Just remember to hit that subscribe and the like button, and leave a comment as well. It really does help with the old algorithm. Just helps everybody know about the channel and watch more of the future racing on the channel.
Absolutely. So from us at FGM Ecast, that's it for the week. FGM Ecast, your E-Place for Pace. Do check out our social media channels as well, as we post other content on there all the time, not just about car gaming or sim gaming, but about gaming in general as well. So on Twitter, Facebook, and of course on Instagram as well. From us, that's it. Good evening, FGM Ecast, your E-Place for Pace. We'll see you on Tuesday evening. Enjoy your weekend.